Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the Autocar Professional Dialogue. Our guest today is Rajiv Bajaj, Managing Director of Bajaj Auto. Over the last few years, Rajiv has successfully steered Bajaj Auto to become a pure motorcycle manufacturer, nurturing global dreams as well as maintaining industry-leading profitability. But now Bajaj Auto has more competition than ever before. Rajiv, tell us the brand strategy which you reworked over the last few years ago. And how is it panning out currently? You recently launched the latest, the Discover 100M also. So how is it helping Bajaj Auto to grow while also fending off competition?
See, essentially, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. I think a fundamental choice one has to make is between products and markets. What I mean by that is that till about 20 years ago perhaps, most companies, including Bajaj, were focused really on a single market, the domestic market.
Yes.
And in order to then get adequate growth out of one market, the only option is to enter multiple segments. So Bajaj participated in most of the two-wheeler segments, mopeds, scooties, scooters, eventually from the 80s motorcycles with Kawasaki, etc. Now this is, I would say, one option for growth. One market, many segments. The other option is obviously diametrically opposite. One segment or one product and multiple markets. So I would say about 10 years back, when we kind of reflected on our strategy, we said to ourselves that we would like to be a global player. Because if you see 10 years back, you would see that our exports were next to zero. So to go into several global markets across continents so late in the day, when there was already competition in these markets, there were no virgin markets, whether it was the Japanese Big Four, whether it was makers out of China or Taiwan, whether it was local competition in those markets, every market was competitive. So if one is going to make a mark in many global markets, one really needs to be excellent. So we thought to ourselves that we need to completely flip our approach from many segments for one market to one segment for many markets. Now the reason I say this is because theoretically there's a third choice that I think many companies tend to follow out of deliberate design or perhaps just out of default, which is many products or many segments in many markets.
Yes.
And I think history shows, it's not a matter of opinion but of fact, that the approach of many products for many markets does not work. Because it becomes very difficult for a single organization to be outstanding in all parameters across multiple segments. Because there is always a competitor specialized on one segment or the other who turns out to be better than you. So I would say, without naming anyone, that even today in the Indian auto industry, whether it's trucks or cars or two-wheelers, there are companies that perhaps try to follow the, what I call the more is more approach. More products for more markets, because more is more. And I think if we look at their results in terms of top line, bottom line, in terms of actual exports, I think the numbers speak for themselves. So Bajaj chose the more contra-intuitive path of less is more. And that is why we decided to focus everything onto motorcycles. For the simple reason that of 50 million two-wheelers approximately sold worldwide, by volume 35 out of 50, that is 70% was motorcycles.
Yes.
By value, by profit, perhaps 80% was motorcycles, because motorcycles are typically sold at higher prices than scooters or mopeds. Motorcycles typically make more money than scooters or mopeds. So we thought to ourselves, if by making motorcycles, we are participating in 80% of the pie, do we really need to participate in the balance 20%? No. And that is why we decided to put every man and every rupee at our disposal behind motorcycles. In the process, we have grown our motorcycle portfolio from being really very tiny 10 years back, maybe few 100,000 to about 4 million now. And as you just mentioned, we have done or achieved that growth not at the expense of profitability or not with industry norm profitability, but with profitability that is typically double the industry average. And therefore, the credit for doing that, for achieving that, goes not so much to what we did, but to what we did not do. And as a result, whether it was the Pulsar that started in 2001, followed by the Discover 2004, followed by the Boxer, which is a brand we developed for international markets, most specifically for Africa, which is today Africa's largest selling motorcycle. That was maybe 2008 or so, I'm not sure. And more recently, our association with KTM. This has allowed us to build a bouquet of very strong motorcycle brands. And I think that is the fundamental reason for our success.
And also, I remember after one such interaction many years ago, I did a story wherein I kind of put my neck on the line by saying that perhaps there will be a year, there will be a time wherein Bajaj will sell more products outside India than in the domestic market. Are you going towards that phase?
Well, in terms of neck on the line, I was ahead of you on that queue, I think, in the sense that I said this at one of our AGMs several years ago, that since 70 or 80% of the motorcycle market lies in the world outside India, not in India, it would stand to reason that if Bajaj were going to pursue a global ambition, it would stand to reason that 70-80% of our volumes should eventually come from exports. So I think today we have reached a situation where if we are typically selling about 325,000 motorcycles a month, 200,000 are sold in India and about 125,000 are exported. So we are already at a 60-40 kind of ratio between domestic and exports. So yeah, I don't think the day is very far where we will be exporting more than we sell domestically. It has happened also for our three-wheelers. While we are a motorcycle company that dispensed with all other two-wheelers, we retained the three-wheelers simply because we were in an enormous position of strength. We are the world's largest three-wheeler maker, and with the three-wheeler, it's already the reverse. I think almost 60-65% of what we make is exported. So I think your neck is safe.
Right, thank you for that. And talking about the canvas of the domestic market, while at the premium end with the Pulsar, you have it's a kind of a brand which is like stands to the test of the time and is set to grow further, and it's really made a mark for itself. And the lower segments, Bajaj still seem to be facing some challenges. Is it because purely of the nature of the market, or perhaps you would rather focus more on the Pulsar and maintain that better profit margin segment and build on that, and you're happy with that?
Well, I'll put it like this. I have a fundamental belief that the auto industry is less of a technology industry and more of a marketing industry. What I mean is this, that technology or quality is a necessary condition to compete in this industry. If you don't have technology, if your quality is suboptimal, obviously you will not last very long. But so many players have technology and quality, which is really not different from anyone else's. So while technology or quality are necessary conditions, they are not sufficient for success. What is sufficient is, really, to put it very simply in marketing terms, is being first to market. with the scooter at one time, the kind of scooter India used to have, such as the Chetak or Super, Bajaj was first to market. And it remained the leader for a long, long time, till those scooters became irrelevant to the market. When Honda came to India, it introduced a scooter which was very much like the Chetak. It was called the Eterno. To the best of my memory, it was introduced in 2004 and it was phased out by 2007, which only goes to show that even if it is a product coming from the biggest two-wheeler maker in the world, Honda, its chances of success are very remote if it is second to market with no differentiation to offer. Maruti was the first small car, still the leader. Hero was the first mileage bike, still the leader. Pulsar is the first sports bike, still the leader, still 47% market share. And it's not like we don't have competition from Honda, from Yamaha, from TVS, from Hero. Bajaj was the first small three-wheeler, still the leader. Piaggio is the first big three-wheeler, still the leader. So this is what happens in a marketing industry. The one who gets in first, as long as he maintains hygiene in terms of, let's say, quality, whether it's quality of product, quality of service, quality of all operations, it is very difficult to dislodge a leader. Now, more specifically, in response to your question, I would say this, that we are a mass manufacturer. We are not a niche manufacturer. So there is no question of us explaining our position by saying we are happy with Pulsar and we really don't care about the rest. It's not true. We would certainly like to expand beyond that, which is why Discover followed Pulsar in 2004 after the Pulsar was launched in 2001. But where we have to be careful is this, that on the one hand, we are moving from a sports segment and a sporty brand, if I may say that, to something that is more of a mileage motorcycle, which is Discover. But we have to be careful that the Discover does not stray so far from the Pulsar that it starts looking like a clone of a Hero motorcycle. Because if we were to do that, then I think the vast majority of customers would say to themselves, now even Bajaj is endorsing Hero. Let's go and buy Hero. So this is always the trickiest strategy. The Pulsar strategy is very simple. Hero is about mileage. I am anti-mileage. I am about power. Customers get it. This is black, this is white. This is sweet, this is sour. This is big, this is small. Opposites are very easy to understand. But the minute one gets into the gray area, it becomes a little difficult, both for customers and for the company. The customer is not quite sure whether he should buy you, because if you're too much like Hero, then why should he do that? And if you're too much like a sports bike, then is that what he's looking for? So this is a very fine balance one has to strike. And I think the reason we managed to achieve a position for Discover, where it is the second largest selling mileage motorcycle in the country, is the number 2 mileage motorcycle, is because we managed to strike that balance quite well, in the sense that in the Discover, I think the customer sees all that is relevant to a mileage motorcycle, but is inspired by all that is linked to the Pulsar. So it's not the same as a Pulsar, but it is inspired by the Pulsar. It is for those who want a mileage motorcycle that offers much more than mileage. So as much as Pepsi is for those who want to drink cola, but for the younger ones whose dil mange more, I would say Discover in that sense is for those who want mileage, but in a dil mange more sort of way. So this is the strategy with which Discover was introduced in 2004. I think it has done well, but I would agree it has to do much better. And that is why we have just launched the next platform. So it is Discover version 2 that you were referring to, the Discover 100M, where after taking the Pulsar, raising the bar on Pulsar further, we have now inspired Discover with that, i.e. now there is a 4-valve Discover, a twin spark Discover, which essentially offers the same mileage with 20% more power. So I think what we are doing is right in terms of striking the right balance between being a mileage bike but not being just another mileage bike. And that is why we have had more success there than others who have challenged Hero in that space. But the reason it takes time is twofold. One, because as I said, when somebody is first to market, it takes time to change people's minds about that.
Yes.
And two, because we have not tried to buy market share. You know, every Discover we make, because it has so much technology in it, and because we are very determined to deliver a high bottom line. So every Discover is sold at a small premium to competitive models, and we don't try to buy the market share by pricing it low and doing that sort of stuff. So I think in this respect, it is slow and steady that wins the race.
Rajiv, one last question about the domestic market. Even as your profit grows and your overall performance improves, the market share has dipped. Is it because of the growing pie of the scooter segment in the overall two-wheeler industry? Is it also because of increased competition, namely Honda, the recent introduction by Mahindra two-wheelers? How do you explain that?
No, there are two reasons. First of all, our motorcycle market share has slipped a little bit. So that has nothing to do with scooters, because I am comparing only within motorcycles.
Okay.
So scooters cannot be my excuse for that. There are basically two reasons. One is the Pulsar segment, where we are almost 50% of the market. That segment used to constitute almost 20% of the industry. That now constitutes about 15% of the industry. So as the largest player in the segment, obviously we have to take the biggest hit. That because of this economic condition, whatever it is, people are conservative or postponing or down trading or whatever it may be. There is no way to know exactly what is in people's minds. But we can see the segment has shrunk from almost 20 to 15%. So naturally that shaves something off our market share. That is one reason. The second is in the non-Pulsar, i.e. in the mileage segment, unlike, I mean, there are three big players there. One is Hero, clearly the leader. And if I may say so, for the leader, the going is always easy because the leader has to just maintain his momentum.
Yes.
That's been our prerogative with the Pulsar. You know, it's not that we have done something fantastic. Once you are in first, it's easy to maintain that momentum. So for Hero, in that sense, although I would say they have done nothing remarkable in terms of product or marketing, but by virtue of their leadership, they will continue as they are till somebody seriously challenges it. Second is Honda. Honda has come in with 2 new models in the last 1 year, and while we may have our own opinions about the success of those models, but there is no doubt that when somebody like Honda brings in 2 new models, it's bound to have some impact. And the numbers will show that Honda did gain some share both from Hero and us, because these are the 3 big players. In case of Pulsar, we have not lost share, but the segment has shrunk. In case of Discover, we have lost some share, but that's because we are waiting for the new model. Hopefully now that it's in, we should see, I would say from January, we should see a reversal of that trend.
And talking about technology, Bajaj Auto has really portrayed kind of its models as technologically advanced, and which is why perhaps you protect your technology very vehemently in terms of when it comes to fending off competition. Do you think that the patent issue which you had, Bajaj Auto had with TVS, could have been avoided? You wouldn't want to have that because it's still, the case is yet to kind of come to its final conclusion in terms of the infringement of the.
I mean, one has to say that since the market is not so evolved in India, you know, therefore patent regulation, etc., is also not as evolved as it would be elsewhere in the world. I mean, when we had our twin spark technology in place and TVS tried to do something similar, clearly there were 2 opinions. When we spoke to various experts about this, there was an opinion that perhaps it is a case of infringement of some sort. There was an opinion that perhaps it is not so. And we had two options before us. One is to do nothing, and one is to seek a legal opinion. And while the two companies and the two families have very cordial relations, we chose the path of seeking a legal clarity because we think that that is important going forward. Because there can be another occasion and another occasion, not necessarily between TVS and us, but between two other manufacturers. So unless we test these things, place them on the table, people turn their attention to it, look at it, and pronounce a verdict, how would one know? We faced a issue with the DTSI technology, not only in India, but also in several overseas markets. And we've had both kinds of verdicts. But there are countries where we have been granted registration, and there are countries that have denied us. So it is a matter that is a little amorphous, a little nebulous. And it is in the interest of the entire industry that it should be clarified. Because once there is clarity, whether yes or no, then every manufacturer is clear what he needs to do. So I think this should be seen very positively as a kind of exercise in learning, rather than to be viewed as a legal battle. Outside of that, in terms of business, it did not affect us in any way.
And last question on the two-wheeler space. What is the future of the Bajaj KTM relation? You have hiked your stake to a certain level. Is it likely to go up further because your relationship has become stronger every passing year or so?
We were very clear from the beginning that if we wanted to be a motorcycle specialist, we had to compete in the premium space. Now, when I say premium, I don't mean brands like Honda, Yamaha, because these are mass brands like Bajaj. Harley Davidson, Ducati, BMW, Triumph, KTM, these kind of European or American manufacturers who are competing exclusively in the premium space are brands that, in my view, represent lifestyle or exclusivity or something like that. Now, we had two options. We could have tried to do a Lexus and create something like that. Once again, history shows that that is very, very difficult. I am really not sure that compared to Porsche and Mercedes and BMW and Audi and Jaguar, has Lexus really hit the spot that they wanted to hit? I'm not convinced about that. So I think to create it organically, whether it's Lexus from within Toyota or XYZ out of Bajaj, I think is questionable. The more obvious thing was to go and look for inorganic growth over there. For us, it was important to find not a company that was in trouble and needed rescuing, but to find a company that was outstanding, excellent, management that was very sound, and the prospects for which were very good. We found all of this in KTM. And therefore, from day one, our approach towards KTM was that of a partnership, that we can add some value to this partnership in terms of our design skills, in terms of our manufacturing competitiveness, in terms of the reach we can provide in India and emerging markets. But at the same time, the partner also adds value in terms of his brand and technology and his reach in his markets. So when we started without any target in terms of equity stake. We just started at 14% because that is what was available at that time. And it has taken several years to come to 48%. But from the beginning, we were clear about one thing, that given a choice, we would not want Bajaj to be a majority for two reasons. Externally, in terms of customer perception, I don't think it helps the brand to know that KTM is actually Bajaj in that sense. I've heard people say, oh, Volvo is now a Chinese brand, is it? Jaguar is now Indian, is it? I don't think it helps, as a customer. It may hurt my ego, but I have to acknowledge that customers would like to carry the perception. KTM is Austrian, it's German, it's European, that's the heritage, that's the lineage. Keep it pure, So from the customer point of view, I think that is important, that perception is important. From our point of view, I think if we want a very motivated CEO and a very motivated management team there, then I think it is important that in every sense of the term, they must feel that They are in control of KTM, and they are the first amongst equals. Let's put it like that. Just as much as I would like to believe so about my team and myself at Bajaj Auto. So again, from our point of view, we felt that even from the company's point of view, that would be the right approach. And that is why we have stopped it at 48%. We have absolutely no plans to hike it beyond that. Now, if circumstances arise in the future for one reason or the other that almost force our hand, we will look at it. But I can say this, I am very happy with the progress KTM has made since 2007, part of which we have definitely contributed to. And as long as that progress continues, even if Bajaj Auto remains at 48% equity for the next 48 years, I'm fine, I'm absolutely okay with that.
In fact, with the introduction or the acquisition of Husqvarna and coming into the KTM bouquet and that being launched in a couple of years in India, that will only have a positive rub-off in the Bajaj overall.
Yes, of course. Again, often marketing is very counterintuitive. A lot of people believe that the mother brand builds the product brand. I believe it is actually the other way. Pulsar builds Bajaj, Discover builds Bajaj, Boxer builds Bajaj, RE builds Bajaj, KTM to an extent builds Bajaj, and tomorrow Husky will build Bajaj. So ultimately, I think if we get each of the individual pieces right, we will get the big picture right.
So Rajiv, is that the whole specialization strategy that's also telling you, that perhaps it may not be a good idea to enter China the way the China market is and the way your strategy is?
No, I would not say so. I mean, there is nothing about any market, including China, which is fundamentally unsuitable for Bajaj. In fact, we are just about to enter Mongolia, for example. The question is always about finding a clever entry strategy into these markets. As an analogy, I would point to Indonesia. Learning from our experience in Philippines, where we entered through our partnership with Kawasaki and became the market leader in a short period of time. We are now implementing the same strategy in Indonesia. KTM is now about to enter China. So tomorrow, if KTM and or Kawasaki establish a successful base there, and the chances they can do that, especially KTM can do that, are very high compared to Bajaj doing it, because again, KTM is very specialized. So automatically, they will get some traction in the marketplace. And when that happens, could we then follow in their slipstream and take advantage of that? Possibly, yes. So I would say that definitely Bajaj would like to be present in China. Once you are a specialist, you have to go to every market in the world. And if you cannot, you have to rack your brains till you find a way to get there. But I don't believe that you go to a market to first lose money for 5 years and 10 years and then make money. That's not the kind of company I would like to run. I would like to have a strategy, an entry strategy that makes Bajaj viable from day one. And quite simply, we have not found that as yet, as far as China is concerned.